with the times and looking at kind of what's a bit more applicable here on Icebox, even though it's only short-lived, maybe, for how long Icebox is going to be left here. But this is a big positive because Koi have to show us something in the server this week, today.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And again, roll your minds back. Yes, we saw them up against the likes of NRG and actually had a good result in lock-in, not a victory, but it looked good. You saw a couple of very positive trends from the likes of, Shados in there, a couple of others having a really big series. That was fantastic. Now we have to see if that comes through again. This was a little bit of a curveball, I think, in the veto to come through at this point, so still.
The one thing I do want to see with this comp change here is Coldamenta being a little less linear, because that's been something that's always been concerning with, I mean, not just Koi, but Coldamenta in general on Icebox. It's very feast or famine. If he can get away with murder on these lurks, there's a lot of impact, and you kind of just ride the numbers of what you see at the end game.
A bit of a victim of his own success at times, though.
Absolutely.
People became hyper aware of what he was doing. Bit of a, bit of a kingmaker in his time. He'd always be able to foster fantastic rosters and be able to get away with a couple of bits and pieces. But the awareness is there, and as is now the site here. Towards A they go. There's problems for our captain, and actually gets away scot-free for now. Surely there's a someone deal with a captain. He's alive on 10 HP. Finally, Koi clear the site. Spike's going to go down to the last two.
Okay, I was going to say, Starzo was eating that snake bite, but it's actually the Nano Swarm to finish things off. Watching Kiwi now, find themselves in a 2v3. Coldamenta and Shados tagged up. Actually, Trex will fall as well.
It's so individual, one by one. Fortunate enough, left to reload, so had to get the job done. But Kiwi is in a good spot. Full HP for him on the other side. The walking wounded. Time's running so low. 9 seconds, 6 seconds now. It's dwindling. Needed one more bullet to hit. Coldamenta lucky to be alive, but a little bit of a feast that round for him.
It's away with murder to close that one out for Koi. And concerning to see the initial approach there. I mean, there's so much pressure coming toward that captain. So the recombo, he actually gets tagged by the suppress as well, so he doesn't have use of any of his utility to slow this hit down. And somehow, I mean, even though the kills go in Koi's favor, FUT are able to actually withstand that first hit.
I am a little aboard the Koi train. I'm going to put it out there. I've seen glimmers of hope in Starzo, right? I've seen that little rollback.
Give me week one Shados again, and I'm with you. I'm with you.
Go ahead. I'm ready to see it. Now they've heard a lot of this. Let's see if they can keep it clean. So far, Wolfen starts building up. Yeah, all good so far. Down to Kiwi and Cracks, but they've both been noted, so falling back seems near on impossible. As you can note that Wolfen is keeping them boxed in. And maybe looking to get certain ults online. So yeah, farmed through pretty comfortably. Made an attempt there for tried to maybe push up on an extremity, find a scrap, get the rifle down, didn't manage it. Moving on.
So just how versatile Koi can remain. Again, this early, very passive default from, again, any iteration of a Coldamenta team really is the approach. But FUT have been great at doing their homework, and some of the approaches to certain maps and certain situations have purely been prep-oriented. And that's been the real positive. It's always been the, I guess, question around when do we see the Turkish super team, and it kind of does come down to the macro level, the fundamentals, because you can always have these pop-off players.
Yeah. It's something that I think a lot of us are excited by, especially if you watch 2022, 2021. It was, can any of the Turkish squads really translate to an international degree?
Yeah.
Fantastic regionally. Outside of that, they normally faltered. We're finally seeing one of the teams show that. However, to the start of this game, though, we look at what this bonus actually contains. 2 rifles still remaining.
Packs a punch.
Yeah, not bad at all, actually, and 2 Bulldogs. I thought there was going to be another Spectre or something in there, but no, it's only Wolfen sat down towards that. Ult-wise, Coldamenta building towards his. Trex pretty far away. No one else really looking too close, but it looks like a lean back towards the A site here.
Actually, only 2 members of FUT in position here. Finally, Mr. Fallen coming across. It maybe caught sound of a jump or two. Cracks definitely. We'll get some information here. Early investment of a snakebite here, ahead of the harbor wall coming up. Gives lots of time for FUT to actually adjust based on this.
Yeah, and FUT are still keeping the cards close to their chest. Unable to identify who's on the back of the site here. Yes, they know that Fade's sitting around somewhere, but there's a whole lot more pressure where that came from. Unable to secure the spike plant either. Now for that second try of it, this time it's down. Coldamenta going to try and control over towards that corner of Maze, but Coldamenta's in a bit of a dangerous predicament here, Mike.
He is. Actually, yeah, Shados has got a massive position here.
This is sick! And good for a second as well. That Bulldog brought to bear, and now Cracks. And out of captain, still alive. It ain't over yet, and now it is. Wolfen, safe pair of hands. They convert the bonus. They must be chuffed with that.
And this has got to be a little frustrating as well. You look at the minimap, you see 3 members of FUT positioned towards site. They still have 2 actually that have to rotate across, and there's no awareness. Shados isn't seen. There's no utility shown at all towards site, so somebody has to be asking these questions.
Lovely.
Here, actually, FUT are able to wrap around towards default, but at that point, it's almost then Koi in a better position to capitalize on that. Couple of early concerns here.
What's caught your attention?
I mean, there needs to be some awareness from FUT in that rotation to come across. If Koi continue to try and punish A side, we saw on the pistol, again, bonus aside, there was a 5-man stack towards B main. If this is kind of Koi's game plan here, and to kind of mitigate the lack of the Sage and use Harbor towards this A hit, have to see some space taken elsewhere. Early days yet, just initially.
Certainly a trend that we could see carry on forward. Something worth touching back in on later into this, at least this half. We'll double check, see where that's at. For now, a little bit of variety, spice of life and all that good stuff. But again, probably the right choice when they're up against pistols. Much easier to sit into this post plant now. Depend on some of that nice utility a little bit deeper. Don't even have to really entertain the concept of holding that close to sight. Look at the post plant setup. Very nice.
Big knife as well.
Yeah, catching 3 there. So you're looking for anyone to hit some belters, basically. You need that Sheriff to crack open something in this post plant, because they can just run through that utility cycle so perfectly.
A lot to work with here. Trex just trying to find a spam kill initially. FUT got to wait out this Viper as well. Actually, as I say that, Captain looking to get ahead of it. Tap out for some utility, but Wolfen finds it.
Yeah, very nice. But they're starting to run out of time now. This is, yes, the end of the utility for the post plant, but still no progress made on the spike, and Koi re-emerging towards the site, clearing as they go. Kiwi going to find 1 on the way. Can't make it out, though. And actually losing a couple of these rifles in the meantime, but round on the board again for Koi. 4-0, Mike. Not a bad start by any means. They've got to be happy with this.
No, not concerning really, because Starzo's one of them to survive. I think he was down at 1550, so comfortable purchase coming back into this. Not really going to damage the economy too much. Kiwi with an early operator here, and technically around behind where we would usually see it. And FUT barely touched on their first ult cycle, and interestingly enough, Koi in a similar position. They've really actually spread the wealth in terms of that ult cycle here. It's right there. Trex the furthest away, 3 from the null command. Shados 2 off that Killjoy lockdown. Koi going to revert back towards his A here. This is early A pump.
Yeah, and a captain going to be found early, suppressed, has to fall away from this. I do want to see if there's evolution on it from the Koi side as well. Obviously, they've had a couple of wins in the pocket now, kind of approaching it this way.
Interesting if this is actually an intentional adjustment here, that Wolfen's posted up in this lurk to try and find a kill maybe and play a late Hunter's Fury.
Are they going to pressure this? Yeah, they're pushing deep towards that A site. They're actually going around with the Prowler now. That's a shot! And a captain snaps Trex's head off. That's massive. And that Prowler had been used in the past. It had noted, I think, last time around Wolfen or someone. But regardless, this is a totally different look. They worked with intent behind it, and I love seeing that. But the adjustment on the way back in. Koi looking to flex through middle. This time, Mr. Fallen wants to show off a little bit of that aim as well. Finds Coldamenta. 1 by 1, Koi being picked apart. Yeah,
spotted Wolfen as well. You see the ping coming through a second. Peek there from Mr. Fallen. Actually, Wolfen didn't spot it. Awkward engagement here. Will be caught on the retreat. A little bit of help from Modge on the way.
Kiwi. Yeah, lovely. Kept his composure all that time, didn't overstep. He knew that there was going to be aggression or at least space taken on the A side of the map, so he just had to be that anchor, which he was playing perfectly. Now the last one, Shados. A 1v5, quite the task. Probably not going to happen.
It's a good positive for me. Talking about the early concerns on the side of FUT. Actually, so early on, the adjustment here is to try and punish that slow approach I was talking about. Yes, not the typical default we would see, but if FUT's response is to actually isolate an opening engagement, again, the lack of a duelist in this composition, who do you really want taking that front line? It's a util heavy composition on the side of Koi here. But again, we've talked about different scenarios of, for example, the Harbor falling first when you haven't got the Sage. That then relinquishes any possibility of a B-side hit coming through or an easy B-side hit coming through. Again, if it's Coldamenta to fall, there are just so many concerns on who is it to take the opening duel here.
I very much agree. It's just curious if they think that's a full answer. Obviously, it's not. You're not going to hit that shot every single time. You can't just keep exploring with that Prowler every time. So I want to see what they now slip into as their long-term solution.
I guess for me, it's actually the positive to see that if Kiwi's got the operator online, then somebody else to find that opening kill. Because then you have some of those Kiwi rounds in your back pocket.
You do. And now getting a little brazen with it. FUT showing off a little bit now, taking that space, taking the ult orb, and then dipping away. Not sure if they got anyone's ult online.
Similar situation here, though. If Trex feels any pressure, who's there to actually bail him out? The spacing between him and Starzo isn't ideal.
No, it's quite substantial, isn't it?
Shados technically still here. They're trying to play contact, maybe off a flash from the turret. And Kiwi going to feel a little bit of heat as well towards B main.
Complimented his composure last time. Now getting put to the test with 2. Last time it was only 1 for him.
Oh, he nearly got the wall bang there.
Jesus. So close where they get to keep their life. They're forced away from that initial angle. This has pulled a rotation. They've had to respect this. There's now, I guess, 2 players dedicated towards B. You do still have Moj sitting towards kitchen, so you get a fairer fight towards A. Are they going to go aggressive this time? No, so they can go back to worked if they have that utility still in play. They do. Starzo's still there. Trex is the knife. Still got Wolfen. Yes, no Aldrone, but
Reckoning as well,
still.
actually.
Quite a lot to clear this site, and as you noted, gets called in. Now the site's in trouble. They have to relinquish any sort of fight on this one. Want to see if anyone tries to linger around? Absolutely not. So yeah, this should be, I say should, a relatively safe plant. Looks like we're going to have the ults coming back in, and actually Starzo's gone down. How
Again,
the hell did that happen?
It's the Snake Bite and the Nanoswarm combo.
Huge setup, and now the problem is time. They don't have enough of it.
It's done. It's literally done. Again, FUT approached this perfectly. You're only really looking for some chip damage off that utility. That execution there for FUT, you have to be calling, let's play retake. But Starzo again, sitting inside, tanking some of that dash, some of that damage. And actually, I don't even think that Nanoswarm was placed initially. Mod just thrown that from behind screens.
If we've got a replay, I'd love to see it, because I'm kind of interested. They were
I was looking at the minimap and I was thinking, actually, yeah, if you're going to lean away from A, you do want some of that killjoy utility there. Yeah, exactly. Again, I was just guessing, but the fact that this has happened again, Starzo's happy to tank that initial snakebite damage because he's inside. He's
so
inside
there's no
the
further
cove.
threat to it,
exactly. Right? He can't be spammed with bullets, right?
But the Nanoswarm is...
And when there's no Soba here, you're thinking, yeah, okay, I can tank a little bit of snakebite damage. It's beautiful from FUT.
But I genuinely like the concept coming back in from Koi, though. They made the right choices to get back on the site, right? They dealt with that pressure on B, pulled the rotation, ran out of time because, again, the utility work coming out from FUT has been actually on point. Lovely work. The difference, 1 Nanoswarm made, basically, because that would have been a post-plant, a totally different scenario, could have changed completely.
Similar questions that actually we've had with other teams pulling out this composition. Who is there to pressure behind the cove? Who do you send forward in a util-heavy comp here to really make sure that Starzo's not left on an island on Soulcast duty?
Absolutely cursed roll.
Koi ahead of the curve here. Much earlier, and they want to try and draw this utility out now. Very different execution, though. Cracks will find Coldamentor ahead of the hit.
They're willing to challenge this time around. I want to see if the plant comes off cleanly. That has been the consistent problem now. We haven't seen them in a safe post plant since the very start of this game. See the spam coming in, Starzo. What are you going to do with it? And once again, the test of time. FUT holding just enough of the space. They have that gateway back towards the site this time around. There is no utility to confirm the kill. The bullet almost did it.
Yeah.
And now the lockdown, just to give themselves even more time. Force the hand of footballers, and then they're going for it. They have to find a challenge. Big shot from Starzo, backs away. 33 HP, and that's all he's got to work with. Tap on the spike first time, Cove's there. A little bit of safety on this one. They got to get to work here. Fallen can tank another. Gets off it, though. Doesn't receive the second hit.
Though.
They do have the half. 3v3, though, still. And a captain on defensive duty. Defuse someone! No one can stop it. Again, FUT coming up with the answers. This time they had the plant, Mike. They got that one step further. Next layer comes in.
As soon as that lockdown gets destroyed, you know that you've completely given up side control. I think right there, FUT have made the perfect decision. Get that half defuse as early as possible, because you know that they're going to rely on the next thing. Again, another aspect of this composition, the Hunter's Fury, to play this post plant. Beautifully done by FUT.
Very impressive.
There's so much time in between the ultimate and any pressure coming back towards that initial cove that goes on. But this is also another thing to consider. Koi have been forced into a close plant that they can't actually play these deep angles, and yes, they can play utility, but once that wave's gone, if FUT have taken deep enough control in front of the spike, it's so hard to prevent that defuse.
So I see that work down the scoreline as well. 3-4 now, closing that gap significantly. And an early test. Now, still able to fashion a purchase, though, this time.
But they're probably assuming this is Kiwi solo once again, because that's all it's been previously.
They haven't seen Fallen yet.
They'll hear him now.
That should be pretty indicative. Oh, unfortunate to keep his life. Both sides, if anything, can't get away so cleanly, and actually just straight through the wall. Trex has got Fallen, maybe overstaying as well.
You can see the frustration there. I think Fallen trying to apply a little bit of pressure for Kiwi to get away. And Koi should try and secure this kill.
Does Wolfen go on this? No, okay. Oh dear, the odds. Again, the pressure on these spike plants is huge. There's no comfort in this. They still don't have the spike down. They have still now bodies on the site here. You've got all that utility starting to cycle back through. Time being bought. The map starts to feel small. You fought for that site and you don't have it anymore.
Still got a lockdown to play with as well. 30 seconds left. Starzo's still got the cove. Again, definitely doesn't feel comfortable. Still 2 snake bites as well for Atta Captain.
Here we go. There's the lockdown.
Beautiful timing on it. Beautiful timing on the lockdown.
Yeah. There's nothing to be done, really.
No.
They've got to deal with this. There's so little to achieve here. Kiwi's starting to pick him off. Trex goes down. Cove's in place. No spike to be planted. They are absolutely screwed. Coldamenta desperate to try and defend this. But with 8 seconds, what choice do they have? Scrap it out, brawl it out. Spike can't do anything. It's too late. FUT again showing off. They have perfect composure. They understand the scenario. And their utility work, Mike, has been sublime.
Sublime, yes, but it's so basic.
It's
There's
working.
not really any flair to it. Koi just completely fumble in the audible moment of that round, where it's like, oh crap, they put the lockdown.
What
do we plant? Somebody comes, I think Starzo comes through, is like, yeah, okay, I'll try and get it. Oh, I've not got it. I've got to run away. I'm detained. And then it relies somebody to bail the entirety of Koi out from the back of yellow. Really, really awkward round to watch back. Again, this has been the concern of some of these applications, the Harbor comps, is if you don't get that first plant attempt down, what do you do? Because there's no duelist to then aggress behind these walls, step beyond the utility, dig a little. That's what I was saying. They need to get that kill on Kiwi, because that's the one that almost secures B-side control. That's the only player towards Snowman. It completely opens up, you know, an open plant outside. That means that Koi can have a much more comfortable, not sitting backs to the wall in B main, relying on utility.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised we didn't see either Wolfen potentially try and pressure it, you know, try and work through the wall. I know it's a little uncomfortable.
Doesn't feel good at all.
It's not a fun role to try and do, but someone has to do it.
Wolfen sends the recon forwards, and there's nobody close enough to him that's like, cool, yeah, let's double swing this.
No.
Again, let's trade the op. He can only get one of us.
They heard the frenzy. Yeah. They knew they had an opportunity with that, and then didn't take any of that advantage, which is a little bit surprising. And sadly for them, going to start costing them, and this is a tech timeout if you are wondering.
Shocker. Shocker.
It is now, though, leading into a Koi timeout.
Okay.
So the back-to-back, you know, we're really being treated here. Get all of it. Yeah, but for Koi, it is time to try and find adjustments. It's 4 on the trot now, coming in for answering that early call.
And comfortable rounds, I've got to say that
it feels close, but they're not. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, if you look at the rounds, they look kind of scrappy on the site, but again, all those key moments, denying the plants, pressuring Stark, so putting him in the soul cast role, perfect use of that lockdown just to soak up the time, no one pressuring Kiwi behind it, all of these things factoring in. I don't know how really Koi are going to come out of this.
No, we need to see a little bit of adjustment around some of these Harbor-oriented, or completely based on Harbor utility executes. Again, I was happy to kind of see a little bit of adjustment in that Hunter's Fury round where it's like, okay, let's throw the Cove towards front screens, cut off those sidelines, apply pressure, obviously ahead of that utility. Then they get some control, but it's a closed plant. It's not a comfortable plant position for them to sit back. Once the Hunter's Fury doesn't get a kill or deny that first half defuse coming through, you're without a paddle. Sat behind Nest, like, okay, cool, we've got to fight back. We've got to hit the site
retake
again.
The site. Yeah. It's I guess another factor that I'd love to see if they could try and figure it out. I mean, it feels near on impossible, but get another lurk going. You saw Shados having so much value to that, but again, hey, go find value in middle every single round. That's almost impossible. So,
like a broken record. Sorry. With 3 people there, if you're talking about Coldamenta playing very deep with 3 people and not one of them being a duelist, that frontline pressure just isn't going to be there for me.
Yeah.
Especially because that front line becomes Trex, Starzo, and Wolfen. Wolfen's going to be droning. Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
No, the math isn't mathing. As it stands, though, variety being explored by FUT. Already going to try and invest Kiwi down towards Tube, so showing off a little bit of difference, and gets banged out by Coldamenta. All right, well, that's how you started, Mike. There's your duelist. It's actually Viper, and Coldamenta playing it. So at this point, though, I don't think they've realized, I guess they're trying to figure out what success they've just found with Kiwi being there. who's been pulled on to B, where is this additional player?
I mean, I'm happy to see this drone come through, because as I say, on the back of that opener, you want to see some decisiveness here from Koi. Capitalize on that.
Oh, but they're willing to fight on this, though. See him posting up in the site.
And Shados actually will backfill that first blood towards
like
Tube.
Even just to, a little bit of a nuisance here, just even hearing this utility is fine. I hope that this is going to draw that additional player back.
Trying to find the turret, I think, with the Nano Swarm, or at least the alarm bot. You did find it.
Did get it. So it's kept that player there. So it is a 4v3 on the site. Out of Captain, good for one, though. Doesn't have to slip away just yet. Krax finds Trex, and there's no complementary trades. There's nothing. It's so individual. Divide and conquer, and Stars are the only one really able to try and make something out of it, but it's futile. That was I think they answered some of the questions there, but then trying to take the site, they failed.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, the one obstacle that really breaks us apart is FUT hitting every shot they need to.
Yeah. When
the site hit comes through, because Shados has timed this to perfection. Actually trying to create some pressure towards Tube. And it's not Cold Amenta. You can hear it's the Nano Swarms. It's like, hey, maybe there's two posted up here.
Who knows?
And maybe that is the indicator for FUT. It's like, yeah, okay, let's dig our heels in here and actually fight Koi as they come towards site. But again, the spacing is awful, Lauren.
It's very bad.
This cove goes up and it's like, okay, we're cutting off half of the sight lines, but Ats Captain's got a kill ahead of it. So it's not like, there's no security provided by this cove. It's like, oh, well, now Stalzo's got to swing out of his own cove.
Brilliant. That's gone well. Yeah, it's... as much as I've enjoyed seeing Koi try to adapt to this, credit to FUT for staying
absolutely
a step ahead. They've really had the answer. Yeah, Kiwi, someone banged a shot out and it happens, but he's generally been quite slippery.
That doesn't happen every round.
No, it certainly doesn't. That was the first time we've seen it, and they tried to then exploit that, a little bit of an adjustment, but Kiwi, again, different position here, and that actually doesn't note Kiwi. Able to get away with it. Stands tall. Going to take down Condimenta, and a second. Kiwi now
nearly lined him up.
Fly through this round. A little bit of a wall in place, gives him time to readjust, find another angle. He's confident with it, and I don't blame him to be. The flash through the wall highlights someone else is there. This time does get caught, but 3 big kills. Kiwi having so much impact already. And Starzo and Trex barely finding safety off to the back of that, barely able to hold on towards Yellow. There's already rotations in play.
One suppressed.
Well, they actually get a ton of decay coming through. Force Starzo to reconsider this, now actually regaining some HP. Does have his ultimate. Trex has to be on red alert here.
Last player
actually, the peak is perfect there with the Veal, and actually Trex finds one, but
nice
Mod's good for the trade. And Koi here, I think, just like, yeah, we found the op. Again, is he solo? Let's try it, let's roll the dice.
Find out.
But it takes him so long to pinch Yellow. Yeah, now I'm a little bit concerned. That start was fantastic, but it's dwindled very quickly for me.
Yeah, it has.
There needs to be some rounds that are just approached completely differently. It's not based around, we're going to cove and plant. There needs to be some map control, Garner. There needs to be some where you're happy to just throw a 3v3 somewhere on the map.
Try and take the fight.
Yep.
You've got some fiery players.
Exactly. Remove some of this utility, remove some of the control that FUT inherit for free being on the defensive side on Icebox.
Because the sum total of Koi's parts should be nasty as hell. Now this time, dealing with that early attempt, that early foray into aggression, and taking space towards the A site. Time the knife will land. Aware of that aggressive endeavor they've been trying to explore. And Koi start taking the space back. But again, all in this time. There is no one player left back. Maybe you'll see a consideration for Augmenta, but again, isolated. Trex lucky with that. He was on his own. And a captain does go down, and this time they do have a little bit more side control. 3 players here ready for it though, Kiwi a mile away.
Yeah, first time Atta actually tries to get a little bit of damage ahead of even getting towards that utility wave. Starzo immediately spammed off that cove, but open plant this time. So much more comfortable for Koi here.
And he's away.
Do have the Reckoning, it's invested very early on here.
Oh, and the ult to come through at the same time. We've got a couple of ults being invested into this. Kiwi just striding back in there, just falling like flies. How the hell is this happening? Diffuse started.
The snake didn't land.
No. Oh no, you got to challenge this. The diffuser has been dealt with. Okay, a 2v2 now. Swing, double face. Moshe's got Code of Enter. It's just one. Shados needs to be ice cold. He's got one. Oh, and he's got the second. Shados just about keeping this scoreline from spiraling out of control.
You can see immediately both members of FUT look back towards mid, they look back towards screens, anticipating he's a late round piece once again. I don't know if that's a miscommunication or just a whiff on the lineup, but both snake bites landing for default, not for this open plant on the side of the rope. Thank God for Shados. You see there, if FUT don't panic and look towards the flank, there's a real chance there. Actually, a double face once again clears that.
Yeah. It's pretty fine margins, even in the victories now for Koi. We've got to see if they can maybe bounce further off the back of this. Early on, though, pressure towards Kiwi, who's been incredible at handling it. Gets curious. Doesn't kill the cat, kills Shados this time. Brazen to try and go for that when we know that Kiwi has been happy to deal with this B-long area.
You note him close with the knife as well.
You definitely not quelled him.
There's nobody ahead of Shados, so it's... I don't know.
It's upset you, hasn't it?
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on, don't worry.
Starzo's dead here. See him clearing down towards barrels and nobody actually swinging from belt there.
Okay, forced away. Nothing to be really... Ooh, the spam. There shouldn't be like a direct threat to life here. I'm looking to see if anything's going to do it. No, it's fine. So we actually do see the post plant, and they're not sitting super deep. They haven't fully backed away from the site this time. Actually committing to the fight on the site, which is precarious to say the least. Still some utility to play with, and Trex is absolutely deleted. Moj is there, and he's actually got another Cold Dementor, just looks ineffective in this. Lockdown comes in, so Starkso, what are you going to do? Stand and fight or try and back away? Wolfen, similar predicament. They've got nothing to play with in this. Starkso is going to have to relinquish this round. He has to respect this as best he can try. It doesn't matter. And a captain seals it, signs it, delivers it. I've got to say, this scoreline should have been harsher against Koi.
I mean, yeah, Koi got away with a miracle here, pulling 5. They get a very hot start, but even that last one, you noted it. Yeah, Koi want to stand their ground. They want to fight on site here. And there's a swing 3 or 4 seconds apart from Cold Dementor, which then gives FUT the lockdown. Again, a little bit of utility invested here, but it's like, if you're holding left side, send the util to the right, cut off an angle.
Sounds too logical, Michael.
I don't know. Initially, like I said, really happy with the approach from Koi. It looked very reliant on this Harbor getting away with freebies in terms of the plants.
Yeah.
The post plants just weren't it for me.
No, and like some of it I do want to kind of put on the fact that Koi simply weren't hitting some of the key conditions we'd have liked them to, but again, that agent composition does feel slightly stunted in its variety in that, and I feel as though FUT, though, in comparison, fully equipped to handle it.
Yeah.
They played it incredibly well. I was very impressed with it. I love that little throw-in of aggression. Turned the tide of that early game. We saw that kind of as the answer they came up with.
That's the thing. Eventually, I think you need to, with one of those hits, it needs to be somebody digging deeper towards backside. If FUT are just going to sit back and say, yeah, we're happy to invest some utility as you're hitting site, then there needs to be somebody to come forwards. Again, is it Trex with the flashes? Is it, I don't know, dare I say Cold Dementor? Just anybody else? This composition, there's no right answer in terms of what you do there.
So there's no clear answer,
who do you throw forwards and sacrifice their utility if you're going to be heavily reliant on this post plant? That was the first example actually on one of their rounds where they do get the plant, where they're happy to actually stay on site and fight for it. So the game plan from Koi has to be the post plant. There needs to be some versatility in game plan. How many times have we seen him actually funnel through mid? The answer's 0, by the way, but that's got to be a question someone's asking. Catch a player in rotation, remove Moj. He's throwing these cheeky nano swarms as the plant's coming through, combining with the snake bite. There needs to be somebody.
One lurk from Shados.
And it worked!
Yes, that was one of the big rounds. There was that attempt at it, I guess, on Tube after you saw Cold Dementor get that 1 pick on Kiwi, but that was a bit, I don't know, a bit behind the fact, but I'd love to have seen a little bit of adaptation. It does feel a little bit too one-dimensional coming out, but on the other side, flipping the script, I guess going forward into the second half, I don't think FUT have these issues. The composition isn't as flawed, as stunted, and I have a wonderful update. Thank you, producer.
You're spoiling. I can't believe you're
spoiling.
You
want to wait?
Let's wait.
All right, I'll let it happen.
No spoilers. We don't do spoilers here.
3, 2, 1. Does it change? Does it change? Are we going to update it?
Surely the overlay is ready.
There we go. Woo! Tech pause. Sorry, I did almost spoil it, and honestly, that's on me.
Yeah, you got a suspense build.
Really?
Yeah.
Really ensnaring the senses. Wow. Yeah, it's super exciting. Love a tech pause on the half. Probably one of my favorites. When do you like a tech pause? Start of the game?
No, I think like second buy round.
Second buy round.
Second buy round
Yeah.
where tech pause hits. That's
where you enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's
Or
pretty
maybe round 2 because nothing's really happened yet. So
Yeah, there's nothing to actually talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I do believe we have Sliggy in the house, though. We could talk about that. Maybe he's actually added to this. Do you think it's his fault?
maybe.
He used to be an observer. They often break things.
Yeah,
He's
it's-
probably been behind the scenes. A little fiddle around.
Maybe the problem is we've got 3 observers here.
Oh my god.
It's just too much.
There's too many of them. We even put Mel on air earlier.
Yeah.
That's...
I'm desperate for the pre-show if you've got him wheeling Mel out.
Zilb's next week. Oh, we have a treat
We've hit the
for
panic
you.
button.
Yeah, they're like, oh, casters are going off script.
Yep.
They're starting to have too much fun. So you know what, for a group of people who are probably not having fun right now, Analyst Desk, enjoy. It's a tech pause leading into the second half.
Thank you very much. Now, why are they pretending like they don't know why there's a tech pause, Vincent? It's Pansy and Hypog. They're the masterminds of tech pauses.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
think
they do.
that is what we actually should analyze. Like,
Yeah.
what is their idea of blaming that this is not their fault?
I honestly think every single tech pause, even when they're not here, is their fault.
Quickly, was there a tech pause yesterday?
There wasn't a
don't
single
think
one.
so.
Not a single one. Who was not
tech
here
pause.
yesterday?
Well,
Well, I can
Well.
tell you that Michael was still in the UK, so definitely Hypo wasn't here.
to be fair, I mean, I appreciate that they want to give us a bit more time to talk, you know, it's fair enough. I will take all of the time. Give you guys an update at home. The tech pause is due to a game crashing for one of the players, so we're just going to set up again, get back into game, and hopefully get back in due time and not take too long for this. But it is at the halftime, so we do have plenty to talk about.
Yes.
In the beginning, I feel like Koi, we were all sitting here like, ooh, they've turned a
There's
new
some things.
leaf. There's
Yeah.
some things going on. But then it kind of fell apart a little bit.
Yeah, completely. Like Shadows going on mid. Like they had some strats, especially for I think those 4 rounds that they caught in a row. And again, it's just Koi feeling good, feeling confident, getting the plans. But it's the moment that football is actually the FUT asked for that timeout. Things change and they do not know how to respond, and it's not until round 11 that they finally managed to get another one. Again, I think that this is mostly a highlight for FUT. Probably this is something that we could have not seen in the past. It also has to do with Koi's emotional state. Yeah, probably.
The thing is, right, you've mentioned it perfectly with that flank. You've mentioned it perfectly with the 4-0. This has been a great start for Koi, but ever since that one flank and that timeout came in, everything changed based on the fact that FUT did FUT things. And what is FUT particularly good at? Waiting, patience, and playing solid retakes, denying you in your late XX. And this is something that I briefly mentioned at the beginning. The matter of fact that when you are waiting so long for FUT and you are waiting to make like a 30-second execute, they have so much utility ready to deny you that they're just waiting for you.
All
I
right, you
love the
guys,
fact that we see-
raw answers only. What's
Yes.
Baba looking at? Raw answers only.
A
Financial
kebab
reports
place
coming
to
quick.
eat tonight.
What? Okay,
Kebab place.
Financial reports of Carmine Corp.
I said wrong answers only.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong answers only. No, but seriously,
There
there's
are
like,
none.
it just keeps
No,
going. There's like 8 pages.
No. In every single match, there is a moment that if you go to Barbar's cam, he has like at least 40 pages, and he's just like going over all of them. I am telling you, this technical pause is his thing.
My-
He just needs to read through all of them. Just imagine.
My favorite is that Millie's ones are always handwritten. He's got like a book and everything is handwritten. It's not like printed
I think
out.
it's great.
So
I wonder what's in there,
Yeah.
right? Because we were talking about the new compositions coming in from
Durka
both
go
sides.
kill.
No, I mean
Uh,
for Barbar. I mean for
oh.
Barbar specific.
Shados go kill. Starkso go kill.
But there's like a lot of, we were seeing like images and stuff, you know? Like there's something that they have
Yeah.
prepared, but is this something that they expected, you know, the harbor and everything else?
The cool part is we first of all figuring that out, but the second part is there anything anti-strat relevant in there? Because I don't believe so.
How?
Yeah, exactly. How? It's probably not the case.
I would love
So-
it so much if it's just literally like a fan fiction he's reading in his spare time right
A
now.
fan fiction.
Yeah, because fan fiction,
fan fiction.
obviously, I don't know how much fan fiction you read, Vincent, but I read
0.
a lot. And it's not a real book, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to bind it into a real
You need
book,
to send me some.
you
I wanna
have
read
to,
some.
oh, I have so many there, like you will not believe. You have to like physically print it out to get it binded. It's not something that you can just go to
Aw.
a store and buy. So I would love it so much if Baba is just reading like Guild fan fictions
Guild!
Do you know?
in his spare time. Yeah,
Guild.
why not? Why
Yeah,
not?
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
What year is that?
I mean, at
Last
least
year?
they lasted longer than
What?
Big.
Listen, now that we're talking about Barbar and those pages and the strats and everything, I remember, now that we have Sleegy in the house, I remember one time I went into Sleegy's stream and...
The one time, the only time.
Yeah, the only time.
Yeah, chat, let's get some slug approved. chat.
I love the slags. I've been
Yeah.
having a slag for a long time already. But I remember that there was this one time I asked him. So it was when they did not have an IGL, and after like 5
the
to 6
entire
rounds-
time he
yeah,
was there.
Yeah, okay. So I went in because every time it didn't matter if they were winning or losing. Like after round 5, between round 5 and 6, he would ask for a timeout. And I asked him, so what do you do in the timeout? Like, how do you structure if you don't have an IGL? How do you make things work? And he was like, well, I give them a plan for round 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and then I asked for a timeout, and I gave them a plan for round 7 and 8.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I feel like Calder is probably won't need that as
No.
much, Vincent.
No, I think Colamentez, I think he got a lot of praise. I mean, Bonecall was roasting him a little bit in that one video, but other than
Wait, what did he say?
yeah, he said that he's a little too simplistic and a little overrated. And the next sentence was, I hope he doesn't
Damn.
hurt me with his big arms.
Oh, he does have big arms.
He does have
He's
big
right
arms.
about that.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
you can see on the screen right now, you guys at home, of course, they can't really talk to each other
I will
during a
arm
tech
wrestle.
pause. Yeah, they can't really talk to each other during a tech pause, but we have seen in the past where some IGLs talking about how in these moments, they have so many different ideas and thoughts going through their mind. It's difficult to kind of like hone in on one. But to be fair,
I don't-
7-5.
It was a smiley.
Okay.
The Cole is thinking a lot.
What do you think? What do you think he's thinking about wrong answers?
I think he's trying to have a mental connection with Barbara to choose the right place to have dinner again.
Okay, Vincent.
I personally believe he's just thinking about what Barbara would say right now.
What do you think Hypoc is thinking about right now? Look at him pacing,
Hypoc is thinking right now how beautiful Terminal 3 of Manchester Airport is.
pacing back and forth. Look at him having a nice
He's
time
his
up
favorite
there.
actor. Look,
Yeah.
Trex is concentrated on something. We don't know what it was, but maybe he saw a ghost.
I mean, one advantage of this technical break is that basically there's not this momentum break that we usually see, right? We sometimes say, oh, you know, that technical pause that caused us, that our momentum broke. This is a halftime switch, a 7-5 scoreline, so it's not even that bad.
It is. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not the end of the world. It could be a 9-3, you know? It could
At
be,
least he's smiling.
it could be an 11-3
That's
down.
good. That's good. We see smiles. We see laughs on the side of Koi. I think that's great. It's actually, you know, I think it's on FUT that the PC broke.
Yeah,
So probably that's
maybe.
where we can see a worried face. But no, this is very chill.
Oh, okay, maybe it was Mr. Farland since he's the one talking, but they look like they are having a great time, Vincent. Look
Yep.
at Kiwi.
The amount of rounds they win, I mean, the confident they are recently, I wouldn't be
The comeback.
surprised.
Yeah.
To be very honest, one big question I have about all of this. Long sleeve gaming, yes or no?
Long sleeve. Is that a
I
team?
hate it.
I don't
I
know
can't.
about
I
that.
can't,
I
right?
can't. I can't.
Impossible.
It gives me a lot of anxiety. Don't you feel like when you're gaming, like if you have a long sleeve,
I thought that was a team. Like
long sleeve
yeah.
gaming?
You
Long
know,
sleeve
like
gaming.
yeah. Okay, never mind.
No.
Okay, so you mean like having long sleeves? and
Yeah,
play
yeah,
games?
yeah, yeah. But not having a professional player sleeve, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it. No.
What do you
Did you
mean?
feel because it screams me like the feeling of having clothes and touching the
Oh.
desk.
Really?
See, that's the difference between
Yeah.
us, because you're actually good at this game. So maybe if I cut my sleeves off, I could be
You don't
alright.
have to cut them. You can just wear a t-shirt.
No. I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a pair of scissors and
I mean,
cut them
to
off.
be honest, there are enough players who wear sleeves nowadays, get themselves certain mouse
Yeah,
pads.
but are those sleeves any special? Because I would like to try
I have them, and I like them, to be honest. I thought they're cringe.
no, you're a
listen to me.
poser. You're
Aaron, listen
such
to me.
a
Listen to me.
poser.
I
You're
thought,
the kind of person
I
that
thought,
just uses it when he's
no.
they're on stream.
Listen,
He just uses it to go on
listen,
stream
listen,
and just
listen.
be like,
I-
hey guys, I'm such a pro.
I got
Look
that
at my-
gifted
look
from
at my
Ovation, and
sleeve."
I have to tell you right here, right now, that I thought it is the cringiest and stingiest thing ever. If I want to be like Road to Immortal, the first thing I post with myself is the sleeve on. But I have to say it's surprisingly comfortable and surprisingly good. I would recommend it.
I mean, Mr. Farland's got the anime
Ascended one.
sleeve. He's got a weeb sleeve, so he's channeling
Yeah,
the power of anime.
that's a major buff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's channeling the power, so that's probably why they're doing
plus
super good.
Sad Boy playlist plus that, easy Immortal, easily Radiant.
Oh, Vincent, what do you mean sad boy? What are you on about?
You don't know?
What are you on
What do you
about?
think those anime profile pictures of your 16-year-old Jet Radiance mean, huh?
I don't know because I don't relate. I just do not have any connection to 16
I feel insulted. I feel offended by this. Vincent. I
Offend-
don't know what you're trying to do. Honestly, I'm just mad that Tampog are forcing me to have this conversation with you, Vincent.
They're just
by,
walking.
by like prolonging the tech pause right now. They were saying to me in my ear that someone's PC crashed, but it's a someone's PC crashed.
What if
you
Hypox
know?
PC crashed?
I might accidentally ripped out
if
the
Hypo
wires
crashed?
of
Please
one of
no.
the players. But oh, this is a good sign. I think
That's good.
we are actually getting closer to going back into game. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
It's going to be very intense. I mean, I agree with you, Vincent. At
Oh,
least it's good
God.
that this happened during the halftime and there's
Yeah.
no momentum breaking. If someone, you know, forgot their homework, this is like the moment you have 5 extra minutes before the teacher comes in, before the exam. Okay, what were we supposed to do here? How do they play? Complicated.
I mean, Barbar's read a whole freaking novel during this tech pause.
Yeah.
I would love for us to go back and check in to see what he's doing.
Does he still read?
because-
Is he keeping on reading?
No, I
If
think we
he's
saw
still reading.
We saw a shot of
Please.
him not reading, so I think he's actually read everything. Shout
Some
out to
people-
the fans
some people
as
do not
well.
know.
Shout out to the fans in the Coliseum. You guys are here every week. Y'all the best. Yes, you in the beanie.
What does it say?
Shout out to
On your phone?
that was
How
shout
dare
out
Lucker.
to
you.
That was
shout
Lucker.
out to you. Oh, well, some Fnatic jerseys, of course. Fnatic, they are playing a little bit later against Liquid. I think a lot of people are looking forward
Can
to
I-
that game as well.
That is kind of funny because, you know, I see a lot of great signs and everything. Last week, there was somebody in the Coliseum who had a sign with all my emotes on here. Unbelievably.
But you're
Did you-
eating.
Yeah. Like, you saw the Valorant? You saw
I feel
the
like you're the only person that enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You saw the Valorant kind of banner? Did you see that? No. Okay. Never mind. Never mind then.
I was
It's
too busy
okay,
watching the
Vincent.
game.
I tried.
enjoy-
Listen,
I
I
was
just
too
want to
busy
be
watching
nice
the
to my
game.
community. I'm sorry.
I was about to say
Dude,
that
Barbar
some
does not
people-
blink.
Oh my god, I thought that the image was frozen.
He actually does not blink. The
He's
man does not need to blink. Oh my goodness.
Actually, some people do not